Welcome to the Fantasy Boardroom. As always, I am your host and Fantasy CEO, Tycoon. Let's get this party started. We are in Southern California here, a nice, beautiful, misty, kind of rainy night. It's fantastic. It does feel like fall for the first time in a long time. It stays hot down here for a while, so having this chilly night is nice. It's nice to not have to have a fan or an air conditioner running here in mid-October. So, that's not what you're here to hear me talk about, though. We are here to talk some damn football, so let's get down to it, shall we? Once again, we're riding solo as we go into Week 6, and we're going to follow much of what we did last week. We are going to preview Week 6 here, and then we are going to look at some Week 6 props as well. It's been a continued very strange year, even some big news, interesting news just today, so let's dive in. And we will begin by going game by game here on what to expect here in this Week 6, not only for your fantasy teams as we navigate these first bye weeks. Those are here. That's fun. Everybody loves the byes. And what that's going to mean this week and moving forward. So we will start with San Francisco 49ers at the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, this is an important one for me, myself, big 49ers fan, as is the man right here, Rasta Anthony. Let's go. Welcome, my friend. As always, friend of the show, make sure you're following Get Right Fantasy Network. They will be on in a couple of hours here. Normally, they start around 8 o'clock here on Fridays, but they're going to start at 9 Pacific, that is. So make sure you tune in. But yeah, 49ers. So, strangely, I'm seeing the Falcons here as a popular upset this week, and it seems to be largely because of our defensive injuries. Obviously, the 49ers lost Emmanuel Mosley to a season-ending torn ACL. Nick Bosa's status is questionable. As a fan, I am personally hoping he doesn't play. I want him nowhere near that turf. To keep him out for a week, please, Lord. Armstead and Kinlaw will remain out, so they're looking at the defensive line in particular. But what many fans don't seem to realize is just how deep the San Francisco 49ers defensive line goes. So we're going to be in fine shape. And we haven't really had Armstead or Kinlaw in the last couple of weeks, and we are still the league's best rushing defense, league's best defense overall. Now we'll see how the pass game holds up without Mosley. I don't anticipate seeing Jason Verrett just yet. And again, with the turf, yeah, please keep them away, frankly. I really don't care. I want to just keep everybody healthy. Excuse me. But with that said, Atlanta has been feisty this year. They've been able to stay in games. That's the real thing here. They're still a poor team. Don't get me wrong. They have no idea how to use Kyle Pitts, which is frustrating. That's probably going to continue against San Francisco. I think Mariota and the offense are going to struggle as a whole. They're going to struggle to move the ball. London might get some numbers. We tend to be giving up everything to one receiver. San Francisco does, that is. I say we like I'm on the team, but hey, we. So one receiver is going to have a nice day. My money would be on London, but we'll see. Maybe Pitts finally has his day. Even still, our offense against their defense is also a mismatch. Their run defense has been surprisingly good, but our running offense has been better. Their pass defense is poor. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing fantastic football outside of that Denver game, but ever since he's looked really, really good. It's really hard to view this as anything but one of the NFC's best teams versus one of the NFC's worst, and I really don't see where this upset pick is coming from, frankly. So give me the 49ers here, and give me everything in the San Francisco passing game, frankly. If you've got Jimmy, especially in Superflex, make sure you're playing him. Yeah, if you're not playing him in 1QB, but in Superflex, make sure you have Garoppolo inserted if you roster him. Obviously, you're never sitting Debo. And I actually think Kittle and Ayuk are in line for nice days. In particular, Kittle, Atlanta is horrid at defending the tight end position. They're giving up, I think, the fourth most fantasy points to the position, second most yards, I think highest yards per catch to the position. So they are just getting absolutely roasted. But you know what? For the sake of accuracy, let's pull it up and make sure we aren't getting... So yeah, fourth when it comes to fantasy points allowed, second most receptions, and third most receiving yards against. Only one touchdown, so that's wild. They've given up the third most fantasy points to the position while only giving up one touchdown to the position. So yeah, I'm thinking this might be the week to get Kittle reintegrated into the actual offense, apart from blocking. So yeah, you can maybe feel good about a bounce back there. Moving on to the New England Patriots against the Cleveland Browns. At the Cleveland Browns, this is going to be a running game. Look for Chubb and look for Ramondre Stevenson. Chubb is just absolutely having a dominant season. No, well, hold on, let's back up for a second. Kyle Pitts is for sure going to be my biggest fantasy bust of the year list. I mean, it's certainly looking that way. It's hard to argue otherwise. Things can change. I mean, we're still only entering week 6, and if he gets hot from week 10 on and helps lead you through the most important part of the season, I don't think many of us are going to be complaining much, but it is, hard to envision that really being the case at this point. That said, given the position is so bereft of talent, obviously I'm still going to keep some faith in him. But again, considering where you had to draft him, that's not going to pay off to that price. You just hope that he has some value late in the year and gets you some key wins when you really need him. And pray to God he gets hot during playoff time. That's all we can really do at this point. Now, back to New England and Cleveland. So actually, we'll start. Well, I was talking about Nick Chubb. So Nick Chubb is just, having a dominant season. Fire him up with no concerns whatsoever. And frankly, the New England pass defense has been, not very Belichick-like, to say the least. Where do they rank here? 18th? Yeah, so I mean, they're middle of the pack. They can be taken advantage of. They seem to be middle of the pack against tight end as well. So they tend to play more man coverage, which is where Njoku struggles. And that's where Cooper can eat it up. So I'm thinking Cooper is an okay play here, obviously, along with Chubb. Otherwise, I'm avoiding whatever else you can on the offense. I'm not playing Brissett, except perhaps in a Superflex league if you don't have a better option. And if you're punting that position in favor of some others, that could be the position you're in. And on the flip side, with New England, I'm pretty much avoiding everything except Ramondre Stevenson because Cleveland is just an absolute sieve when it comes to defending the run. They are giving up the 5th most fantasy points. They are giving up the 4th most rushing yards. They are giving up the 2nd highest yards per carry behind only the Los Angeles Chargers. And we just saw what Nick Chubb did to them. And Damian Harris is going to be out. We saw what Ramondre did last week look tremendous in Harris's absence when he left early due to injury. So, granted, it was against the Lions, but frankly, the Browns are even worse at defending the run, as we see here. It's pretty bad. So, great spot for Ramondre, great spot for Chubb, good spot for Cooper. Forget everybody else. Actually, I take that back. Not everybody else. You're going to play Jacoby Myers as well. Why? Because Jacoby Myers is simply good at football. There is a chance it's tough to fit him on your team just because he was an insane draft value. You got him really late. You probably drafted him as your wide receiver 5 or 6. That said, he probably is no worse than the 3rd best receiver on your team at this point, unless you went wide receiver heavy at the beginning of your draft. So, and with bye weeks here, it could be a great fill-in. If you have Amon-Ra, put in Myers instead. Myers, smash. Just in PPR in particular. Although he finally got a sweet, sweet touchdown last week, which was just beautiful to see because the Patriots have made him allergic to the end zone, frankly, and it's a damn shame. The guy deserves to score, and now he is. Green Bay and New York, so they're getting the New York treatment. Packers are, but this time they are returning to the friendly confines of Lambeau Field, and it is going to be a game in their favor, frankly. Playing at home against a still inferior Jets team that is coming off of an emotional win. And I say emotional just because it probably feels bigger to them than it frankly was because Teddy Bridgewater was removed from the game during the first drive. Skylar Thompson played the whole way. And Breece Hall had a tremendous day. And they stormed off, 40-17. So great win for the Jets. by all accounts. But again, against a third-string quarterback, they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves. Green Bay is probably being a little overlooked after losing to the Giants in London. I think that would be a mistake. Obviously, Green Bay is not a high-octane offense anymore. This won't be the highest scoring or fastest-paced game, to be sure. But Green Bay is going to walk away with the win. I think the New York Jets offense is going to struggle through the air. I think this is not going to be a good day for my guy, Zach Wilson, who I still believe in very much, very much. He's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I stand by that still. Exercise some patience. But I think really for the Jets, you're looking at Breece Hall. And we are going to talk about him more a little bit later. But Breece Hall is an absolute must-start at this point. Pretty predictable. Figured it would be around this time, week 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. And he's undeniable at this point. So if you did draft Breece, you got him at an excellent price because he's probably going to be a running back one the rest of the way. Congratulations. They are facing one of the league's worst rushing defenses in Green Bay, so this will be his day. On the flip side, still not excited about starting Aaron Rodgers, certainly nowhere in a one-quarterback league. I think this will be a great day for A.J. Dillon and for Aaron Jones. So we can look for this to be another run-heavy game. And Lazard is... I can't imagine he's going to get, sauced, blanket treatment there from Gardner. At least certainly not shadow. So I think he'll be in line for an okay day as well. Primary pass catcher there for one A-Rod, and look for Green Bay to probably walk away with a 10-point lead or a 10-point win. Indianapolis hosting Jacksonville. So we've already seen this matchup. We get it again. Week 2, the Colts went into Jacksonville and got smoked 24-0. Things are, not so different for Indy, but they are seeming to regress a little bit when it comes to the Jaguars. Jaguars have struggled the last couple of weeks, losing to Houston, also losing to Philadelphia, although that was a little more predictable and probably expected. But yeah, the showing against Houston was very discouraging. The offense really struggled outside of Travis Etienne. But the Colts, the defense is good, but the offense is still putrid, and this is going to open up some opportunity for them because while Jacksonville still has a way to go as a defense as well, they are in a very active unit. They should be able to have their opportunities to force some turnovers here. They only forced one fumble against Matt Ryan in their first matchup. Matt Ryan's fumbled the ball 11 times this season. 11 times. I believe he's thrown 6 interceptions. So this guy is ripe to turn the ball over. Jacksonville is the kind of attacking, aggressive defense that is looking to get takeaways. So that may come to fruition and put the offense in good positional, or give them some good positional advantages. Great field position. They could really flip the field that way. Maybe even score a defensive touchdown. We'll see. In particular, it's the passing defense that is strong for the Colts. So they tend to be a little bit of, the run defense, so they tend to be a little bit more pass funnel. You need to avoid Stephon Gilmore, but they're solid, period. With all that said, I'm still probably playing Lawrence with little hesitation, obviously, in Superflex. And depending on what the bye week has done to you, you may consider him if you happen to have him in a single quarterback league. I would still fire up Christian Kirk, and I would fire up Travis Etienne. Yes, Travis Etienne. So the one thing that the Colts do defend poorly is receiving from running backs. Let me just make sure again. I am giving you all the proper information. They are giving up the 4th most receiving yards to running backs. They are giving up the 7th most receptions to running backs. And the 7th most yards per reception to running backs, 9.2. So they've already given up 30 receptions through 5 games. So they're giving up 6 catches to running backs a game. This is going to be a great spot for Travis, especially considering it'll probably be a little bit of a negative game script for a portion of this game for Jacksonville. Go either way there, but in either case, definitely expect Etienne to be worked well into the passing game and well in overall as his usage has increased every game for a month. James Robinson's has decreased for a month. And we're seeing it happen before our very eyes. The boardroom could not be happier. Let's go. It is ETN season, baby. Now, I predicted the breakout game last week, admittedly. That didn't come to fruition, although we did see the best game so far from Travis. He looked great. He just wasn't able to find the end zone as the offense struggled as a whole. I mean, shoot, 6 points. It's just pathetic. Still didn't use him enough. That was the problem. Doug went away from him fucking there in the second half after just he smashed it in the first half. It makes no sense. Coaching ruins a lot of things. But, I mean, certain points can be undeniable. James Robinson continues to not look great even when they do use him. So we will see what happens here. But I think this is a tremendous, tremendous spot here for Travis Etienne. Now on the Colts side, hopefully it looks like Jonathan Taylor is back. No, anybody who has him is praying, please, please. Obviously, you're firing him up if he's in there. Don't play Matt Ryan. If you can avoid it, I would desperately seek to not play Matt Ryan. Please, Lord. Anything but that. You're still going to fire up Michael Pittman, obviously. You're not likely to have too many better options over the course of a 2-receiver or 3-receiver in a flex league. And that's kind of where you're going to leave it in that matchup too. Now, if Hines returns and Taylor is still out, you play him instead of Taylor. But we will see if he's able to be back after suffering that concussion there last Thursday. Although it'll have been a 10-day break this time, so we'll see if that extra couple of days gives him that opportunity. It's still not going to be the most exciting game for fantasy, but again, so yeah, ETN, Kirk, Lawrence, and then of course Taylor and Pittman. Game with maybe a little more fantasy appeal, though. Here is the Vikings at the Dolphins. Now, Skylar Thompson starting at quarterback there for the Dolphins limits it a little bit, but I think we could see play calling similar to, now obviously different coach, different playbook, blah, 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 but something similar to what we were seeing out of the way Miami was using Tua last season. Just insane amount of screens over to Waddle. So we can see Skylar doing a lot of screens to Hill and Waddle, just trying to create yardage out of these manufactured touches to their very strong wide receivers and just let them take care of it rather than rely on Thompson. On the flip side, Minnesota's looking very good. I mean, the defense is not great, but that offense is humming. Kirk Cousins looks good. Dalvin Cook looks great. Justin Jefferson is elite. There's really very little not to like when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. So obviously you're firing up any offensive weapon you have there over in Minnesota. That would include Adam Thielen as well. You're never benching Jefferson. You're never benching Cook. Cousins you're playing if you have him. He's a top 12 quarterback. He just is. When it comes to fantasy, yeah, but on the Miami side, you can still fire up Hill and Waddle, and you can probably fire up Mostert too. I don't think you really need to worry about that. Again, Minnesota's pretty mediocre defense in all fronts. So Mostert looks like he is going to be healthy and available. And so as long as that remains the case, play him with zero concern. And speaking of heavy injuries, my goodness, New Orleans hosting the Bengals. New Orleans is going to roll out a team similar to last week. There's going to be no Winston. There's going to be no Michael Thomas. There's going to be no Jarvis Landry. It does look like Chris Olave is going to be there. Hopefully, he's well recovered enough from the concussion that he suffered last week. But hey, if they're bringing him in, I got to just hope, that means he actually is okay. With that said, and Alvin Kamara will be back as well. So with all that said, they are facing a relatively stingy Cincinnati defense, but not one that can't be scored upon. So I do think Kamara is likely to see very similar usage to what he got last week. And so fire up Olave with the zero concern whatsoever. Very curious. I mean, with Dalton starting again, you could see some of those special packages for Taysom Hill again. Certainly, if you don't have an elite tight end, if you don't have Kelsey, if you don't have Andrews this week, I would say in particular, if you don't have Kittle. Yeah, I mean, Hill's as good of a play as literally anybody. Obviously, lower floor, but still a bigger ceiling than most. Now, obviously, I don't expect anything like last week, but hell, I don't even expect him to score this week. But that said, he is always a threat to do so, and that is what the tight end position is really all about. You don't score as a tight end, you're probably useless. The only guys that seemed, again, to be escaping that this year, and hell, Kelsey wouldn't even have this last week without the touchdowns, but Higbee's getting heavily targeted. Andrews is getting heavily targeted. Those are about the only 3 players right now that can give you any decent value without scoring. So, Hill's honestly fine as a great, huge boomer bust guy. We saw the best game of the year for him last week, but still very viable if you're considering throwing in like Austin Hooper or somebody like that. Just use Taysom then if you were able to obtain him. I know he was a hot commodity there on the waiver wire. I hope nobody blew up their fab for that. Great to have, but not if you're at the expense of. This is a good question. But yeah, not at the expense of blowing your entire budget. But if you can get him cheap, hell yeah, no reason not to. Hill over Ertz. So no, not this week. Not against Seattle. Not against Seattle. Realistically, who I would really play over him would be obviously Kelsey, obviously Andrews, in this week for sure. Kittle, Ertz, Goddard. Those are the locks to play over him. Oh, and Higbee, which feels so gross to say, but you just have to at this point. So yeah, I guess if you're really outside of that top 6-7 tight end range, if Dalton's starting, it's worth. Now when Winston's back, forget it. But any game that Dalton starts here, that potential will exist. Considering it is touchdown dependent with tight ends so much, the way I really look at it is I'm going to take a guy, or I'm happy to take my chances on a guy that's getting manufactured, created touches for him. They're scheming him in very specifically. There's going to be 5 to 8 calls potentially that just go straight into his hands, and the guy runs like a monster. It's hard to take down. He's got good speed. So if he can get some space, he can not only run by guys, but plow through them if he has to. And hell, he even had a passing touch. He's certainly a Swiss Army knife. That is for sure. It still feels kind of ridiculous that he's tight end eligible, but QB doesn't really make sense either. I don't know what the hell you do with him. So I guess I wonder if they can designate somebody as flex only. So if somebody really wants to use him, that just has to be flex. Gosh, that would be interesting. That would be fun. That way, nobody can really cry about what his positional tag is. You just have to use him in the flex spot if you're going to use him. And also, though, as far as injuries goes, defensive side, Marshawn Lattimore is going to miss this game, which leads me to the Cincinnati Bengals offensive attack. T. Higgins may or may not play. Even if he does play, probably still hobbled by that ankle, which means Jamar Chase in the return to Louisiana is going to have an absolutely stellar day against what is typically a strong New Orleans defense. However, again, Lattimore's absence here against a receiver like Chase, who was locked up a bit last week, it's not going to be a problem this week. So fire up Chase. If Higgins is out, fire up Boyd, fire up Burrow. Obviously, you're not benching Mixon at the running back position, so you're still going to fire up all the usual suspects there. In Cincinnati, no reason not to. And so, yeah, but if you're a Chase owner here and you've been a little underwhelmed many of these weeks, it's going to pay off this week. So congratulations. I'm very happy for you. I don't have a lot of Chase, so I'm not going to get to experience the beauty there except for a potential prop pick. But I'm glad that you're going to have a great shot to win your week. So now moving forward, we're going to go back to a New York, New Jersey team. That's going to be the New York Giants. Damn it. Why is this not working? The internet, man. The New York Giants hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you. Gosh. Giants don't look terrible. Saquon looks tremendous. Daniel Jones is playing clean, I'd say. I wouldn't necessarily say he's been good, but he's kind of in a Justin Fields situation where he has 0 receivers, except he does have a better line. So we've seen, Daniel Wheels Jones running out there looking good there on his feet. He's, again, that doesn't really have receivers, but he's made mostly clean plays. He's really cut the turnovers down, which is the biggest thing. They've been relying on Barkley to carry much of this, although not so much against Green Bay, and still came out with the win. So impressive. And the defense has really been, I don't want to say really good, but they've been good. Dable has really influenced this team in a very positive way. I still don't buy them as any sort of real contender. They probably still won't even make the playoffs. But damn, man, I'm impressed with this team. And frankly, Baltimore has had their struggles. I don't think they're going to lose this game now. Don't get me wrong. But this could be a more competitive game than it might appear at first glance, especially with the Giants being at home. The Ravens, though, they're much better at defending the run than they are the pass, even with Barkley being absolutely elite and back to simply being Saquon. He's not going to have that kind of day, I don't think, against Baltimore, which is too bad for me, having him on tons of my teams, and he's still going to have a good enough day to deploy, so make sure you're putting him in your lineups. But he's going to be the only Giant that you're interested in putting in your lineups, as is the case the majority of weeks. And Daniel Jones, of course, is a super flex quarterback option. On the flip side, Baltimore, well, you're going to play Lamar, of course. You're going to play J.K. Dobbins. And this week, you're going to play Devin Duvernay and again, obviously Mark Andrews also. And then you're going to play Devin Duvernay. Now, Duvernay's been able to get, he's been sniffing around 10 points each game most of the year. Rashad Bateman is going to be out of action yet again this week. Heartbreaker. God, man. It's supposed to be Bateman season, and he isn't even out there. It started so well, too. So, shit. But, yeah, we're gonna see Lamar have to carry the load most of the way. He'll be targeting Andrews heavily. Duvernay will be the primary catcher at the wide receiver position. And expect to see him worked in with some of those end arounds and kind of quick tosses that we saw this last Sunday night against Cincinnati. They're going to try to get the ball in his hands increasingly so. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. Tom Brady going back to what used to be Heinz Field because I refuse to call it anything else. Kenny Pickett is getting his first home start in front of the Steelers faithful. While I think Tampa is also probably might be frauds, I'm still to be determined, we'll put it that way. I haven't all the way bought into this year's version of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tom Brady's going to have a field day against this secondary Pittsburgh defense. So this is going to be no trouble for them whatsoever. I expect Godwin and Evans to both have huge days. Lenny will probably have a good day. Hell, Rashad White might even turn in a halfway decent line considering the lead that they're likely to have, and they've been mixing him in even when the game's been competitive. So look for Rashad White to continue to be worked in to a larger role in this offense more and more. And look for them to just shred apart the Pittsburgh defense. On the other hand, Tampa Bay has been a little weaker against the run this year, strong against the pass in general, although Carlton Davis has been one that you can target. And I think that's who George Pickens is going to be facing. And we know that Kenny Pickett loves George Pickens, going to keep throwing to George Pickens because Pickett to Pickens is simply going to be a thing. It already is a thing. So Pickens is likely a guy that you're going to be able to deploy, especially in this bye week. I wouldn't play Pickett. Deontay worries me a little bit. Najee, even against, again, what's been a little bit of a weaker Tampa Bay run defense than it has been the last few years. You can run on him now. I don't know. You probably have to play him because you drafted him in the first or second round. And you don't really have anybody better that you can put out there in all likelihood. But I would not be excited about it. I mean, I sure hope you don't have to play Najee this week. But you can be excited about Pickens, and that's about it. Carolina and LA. So, could this be a tryout for Christian McCaffrey to go to his new team? I mean, as we predicted in the San Francisco-Carolina game last week, Baker Mayfield would not finish the game. He did not, and Matt Rule would get fired after the game, and he did. Now, it brings me no pleasure to, discuss a man losing his job, although he's got $40 million with him on the way out the door. So, he'll be fine. So we know that Carolina is going to be shopping some players. It's already been discussed. Brian Burns is likely on the move. Christian McCaffrey is being talked about. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, as they continue to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. The Rams have been struggling as well, and they announced today, Sean McVay did, that Cam Akers is going to be out this week as they, quote, work through some things. And he seemed non-committal about any return as far as Akers to the Rams go. So I don't really know what's going on there. I'm not going to speculate. There's all kinds of wild rumors. Who knows? I am not in a position to do anything like that. I just hope the kid is okay if there is anything serious going on there. But either way, it seems that there's not full harmony there between Cam Akers and the Rams. And if there's any speculation, and the run game's just been abysmal because they keep trying to force Akers every week. So it makes sense that CMC to the Rams rumors have emerged. I don't see it happening. I don't really know what they're going to be able to give up. I mean, they've given up so much draft capital in the last couple of years to acquire players that they have, like Jalen Ramsey. And what really CMC value could they get rid of to obtain him? Or how low is Carolina willing to sell just to maybe shed his contract? No idea. But I sure hope McCaffrey does not end up a Ram. I can tell you that. In any case, this will be a chance for him to show out. Now, he's a guy, obviously, you're still going to play, even with PJ Walker playing instead of Baker Mayfield. May or may not be an improvement. Who knows? Baker's been terrible, but PJ Walker is not good either. This is probably going to be a largely ugly game from the Carolina offense. The plus side is, for our fantasy purposes, our boys, DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, are most likely to benefit because PJ Walker, when he plays, I think it's a 26.5% target share or 27.5% target share that goes to DJ Moore. That's a plus. And when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, I mean, a fierce pass rush here that the Panthers are going to be facing from the Rams. And also just PJ Walker being PJ Walker. We're going to see a lot of checkdowns to McCaffrey, I think. So he's not going to get a lot done on the ground, McCaffrey. The Rams have an excellent run defense as well. But I think he'll rack up those receiving yards as he gets dumped off to on a regular basis throughout to Sunday afternoon. Battle of the Birds. We've got the Arizona Cardinals visiting Geno MVP Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. All right. Getting a little crazy there, but my goodness, Geno. Damn. This hasn't slowed down. And I got to say, I do not see it slowing down against the Arizona defense. Now, they're a sieve against the tight end position, so I expect Disley and Fant to be able to get a little bit done, and Metcalf and Lockett simply are clicking very well with Geno. I could see DK maybe getting locked a little in this game. We'll see. I don't know. Arizona has not really been particularly consistent from game to game in any way, so it's a little more challenging to say, but I'm just going to continue to bank that the Seattle offense is going to continue to play well. This is likely to be, I think, a bit of a shootout because we've got one decent offense, but two putrid defense. All right, put it this way. A very good offense versus a not so good defense, and a decent offense against a putrid defense in Seattle. So Geno should have no trouble with his receivers. Kenneth Walker, I mean, I'd fire him up. He's a very talented player. He's going to assume that primary role. I'm not really worried about DJ Dallas. I'm not worried about Travis Homer. Kenneth Walker is good. We saw him bust the long one this last Sunday. He's going to be the guy. You should be excited about him moving forward with the absence of Rashad Penny the rest of the way due to a fractured tibia. Get well soon, Penny. Y'all know I've got no love for the Seahawks, but with that said, damn it, everyone see a guy get hurt in Penny, man. Dude, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. So get well soon, Rashad. Arizona side, I mean, play everybody, literally everybody. I am a noted Rondale Moore. I don't want to say hater. I'm going to say non-enthusiast. You play Rondale Moore this week. Obviously, you're playing Hollywood. You're playing Kyler. And play Eno Benjamin with James Conner out. Yes, Eno. He's going to have a tremendous day. Probably, I don't really do the traditional DFS anymore, but with that said, he is probably a killer salary out there on DraftKings and FanDuel, so go seek out Eno Benjamin, although he's probably a pretty chalky play as well. So yeah, you're firing up all the suspects there. And on to what's going to be another shootout, and what is absolutely the game of the week. What was one of the greatest games of all time in January. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen visit Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City to face him and the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes and Allen. I mean, what more can we ask for? The two best quarterbacks in football, two of the best teams in football, including the best team in football. I simply cannot wait. And again, play everybody you got. You got Mahomes, obviously. You got Allen, obviously. Even those don't need to be said. Fire up Juju in this one. Fire up Juju. Why not? Obviously, you're playing Kelsey. And leave the running backs at home. Fire up all the pass-catching options. Hell, this would be the week that I'd throw out the MVS or Hardman flyer in deeper leagues. Just if you have a piece of this game, use it. Obviously, Gabe Davis people are very excited, especially given January's performance and last week's performance. I would say pivot off that in DFS, by the way. I would stay away. Just for that reason. I have no idea what his price is, but I imagine it's not too high, and people are going to have that total memory of just what happened last week and the last time he faced the Chiefs. They are not going to be able to resist, but you're better than that. You're better than that. With that said, though, you're still going to play him in your managed leagues. You will fire him up. You will fire up Josh Allen. You're going to fire up Dawson Knox. Obviously, you're going to fire up Diggs. And hell, in this case, you actually probably do want to fire up Devin Singletary. He's not going to rush for much. Kansas City doesn't give up a ton on the ground. Well, they hadn't until Josh Jacobs decimated them on Thursday night. But Singletary tends to get a lot more work when the game is close. So in that sense, when the game's out of hand, his touch get like cut in half. So get him out. So get him in your lineups, though, because this, I think, is going to be a tight game, a shootout game. You're just going to want to get any piece of that you absolutely can. Hopefully you've got these quarterbacks this week. It's going to be fun. And we'll have a prop from this game when we get down to it. Now we are getting into the prime time matchups. We've been talking about the last couple of games being shootouts. Not going to be the case on the Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth Sunday night special in Philadelphia. Oh, damn it. I ruined that. Not when we get to the Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth Sunday night Philly special. There we go. Damn. We've got two elite defenses here. That's what we got. We've got a backup quarterback and one who is playing excellent, but facing the better defense in Jalen Hurts facing off against the Dallas defense. This is a game I expect to, I don't want to say be run heavy because the strength of both defenses is their pass defense, but I do think it's going to be a slower game, a bit more of a grinder of a game, maybe a little more run heavy than other games we're going to see this week. But I don't expect them to just sell out to the run not by any stretch of the imagination. They're not going to shy away from each other there. But I do think they're going to be strong. I think it's going to be bend but don't break type of game here. So we might get a handful of field goals here. Obviously, we'll get some other scoring, but I think this is just going to be a real tight, tense battle. I really don't see this being any sort of shootout against these two elite defensive units, especially with Philly remaining undefeated at home, facing off against Cooper Rush, who, while Dallas has been winning, and respect to Cooper Rush playing relatively clean football, they're not winning because of Cooper Rush as much as I want to troll my Cowboy friends here. This is going to be a game won and lost by these defenses. So I really am not excited about a lot of, it hurts, yeah. A.J. Brown, obviously you're not sitting, but I would keep expectations tempered. There's a shot, he's able to just bust a long one if Diggs gets a little overly aggressive trying to make a play. And that's kind of what you hope for. Otherwise, we'll again, just keep expectations muted. Smith, I'm probably really not looking to deploy. Goddard is an always, must start. Sanders, you'll start the running backs here. I'd say start Zeke and Pollard as well. You can't sit Lamb, but I wouldn't play anybody else on that Dallas offense outside of Lamb, Zeke, and Pollard. And while it, again, not going to be the most high-scoring game, this is going to be a good game. So I'm looking forward to this one. Go Birds. And finally, America's nightmare continues. Monday Night Football features the Denver Broncos. Let's ride off a fucking cliff against the Los Angeles Chargers. It still feels weird to say, even 3-4 years later, Los Angeles Chargers. They don't fit LA. This is a failed experiment. San Diego deserves their team back. God. The excuses have started to come out for Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson himself. He was a shoulder issue. I don't know, but now it seems like he's going to be okay. I don't really care, frankly. What I do know is this offense has been ass. Russ has been ass. Hackett has been ass. Javonte Williams is out for the year, and Melvin Gordon. Contrary to what people seem to think, he doesn't have a career-long fumbling problem, but he has had a fumbling problem this year. And he's not Javonte Williams, so I get people are not so enthused about him. Cortland Sutton has still managed to look good despite all of the disastrous occurrences happening around him. And Judy still struggling to catch the ball at times, which is really, normally I say drops don't matter when it comes to fantasy, but man, he's a guy that if he caught some of these damn balls that he could, the wasted potential is unreal and amazingly frustrating. Jerry Judy's got everything except the hands, apparently. Just never seen a son of a bitch be able to get so open and never be able to bring in the ball. It's really disheartening. But Sutton does look good. Continue to expect Russ to look his way, but I think this is going to be a Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone kind of day just because the Los Angeles Chargers now possess the worst rushing defense in the league. Denver's going to be playing on the road. They're going to probably be looking to manage the clock as much as possible. I mean, they've been somewhat run heavy already as it is, but they're going to really try and keep Justin Herbert off the field as much as possible is my thought process here. Certainly what I would try to do, especially with the lack of success you're having with the damn offense anyways. So, keep Justin Herbert off the field as much as possible. Keep that defense fresh as much as possible to be able to contain Mike Williams, to be able to contain Keenan Allen if he returns, to be able to try and have somebody be able to catch Austin Eckler. That's my game plan if I'm Denver. But I think the Chargers are not going to have, I don't want to say not much trouble winning this game, but ultimately I expect them to come out on top playing Monday night at home against a team that is struggling. All kinds of discourse occurring in Denver. It's just not a good vibe there whatsoever. And I think that's going to continue as they roll in to face the Los Angeles Justin Herberts. So enough of these. Oh, and as far as who you're going to play, though, play Melvin Gordon. You can play him safely. You can play Cortland Sutton. That's it. And Russ Wilson in Superflex. It's always kind of the thing with these shittier quarterbacks at the time is you can always play those guys in Superflex at least. Probably still better than whatever prayer option you're going to throw out. And on the Charger side, obviously Herbert. You're going to play Williams, play Keenan Allen if he's back. I know Denver's pass defense has been solid, but those are guys you just can't bench. Obviously, Eckler. The usual suspects. Nothing out of the ordinary here. I'm not really looking to get anybody sneaky in here from this game. Not Palmer or anybody like that. Josh Kelly, forget all that. Just roll the studs out here. Need tight end help ever. It's a consideration, but not ideal. So that will wrap up the game previews. Now we'll use the balance of our time here to discuss props. After a very hot start, last week did not go well. Last week we went 1-4 in the boardroom picks, basically due to the QB unders we took. Those all burned badly. I got every QB under I took last week wrong. That sucked. And that has dropped the overall boardroom picks record to 8-7. We remain above 500, but we were much better 1-4. Just oof, outlier hurts. So we're gonna rebound this week is what we're gonna do. Week 6 rebound picks, as we said. And if you join the Discord, as I will say every week, please join the Discord. Please join the Discord. The link is in my Twitter profile, ff_Tycoon. Just go, join. It's free. And you get others besides just me. You get Bill. You get Fox. You get Nick. You get Wardy. You get the whole damn rogue crew, and you want them. And you get our boy Graham. So, you want them. That's all I can say. And you also get them earlier. First, best lines. One of those is already shifted from here, and we'll discuss that as we go through. But the first one I'm going to mention, and I know this one's going to seem a little counterintuitive, but we did talk about this, is Christian McCaffrey over 38.5 receiving yards, and this is available on Prize Picks. He's hit the marks the previous 2 games after a slower start to receiving this season. But he had 7 to 9 receptions the last couple of games. The Rams have been stout against running backs, both on the ground and through the air. But given that, it's kind of weird, even though it's Christian McCaffrey, then to still see his line at 38.5. So that throws me. And I think on the ground is going to remain a problem against this Rams front, that they're just a tough run defense. Carolina doesn't have the personnel to move these guys out of the way and open up holes for McCaffrey, especially when they're going to be able to sell out against the run with PJ Walker manning the quarterback position. So Walker's going to have to be reliant on McCaffrey in this game and check down pretty often, I think. I mean, he'll take his shots with DJ Moore, but overall, I anticipate that is going to be a lot of, oh shit, got to get rid of this ball, check downs to McCaffrey, and he will do his work. I think his reception line was at 5. I was going to take it if it was over 4.5. 5 is, yeah, I guess you can do it on Prize Picks because they'll pay 1 and 1.5x if you have a win and a push. Underdog just cancels the slip, just cancels the leg, which is a bummer. So I don't like to do the flat lines on Underdog, and Sleeper does not offer flat lines. Breece Hall over 59.5 rushing yards, and this is available on Prize Picks as well. Green Bay allows the 9th most rushing yards and the 5th most yards per carry. And Breece has simply taken over this backfield like we were talking about earlier. He had his true breakout game last week, but he's been really good all year. And he's just really seized the backfield the last 2 weeks with 17 and 18 carries. So if he even sniffs 17 or 18 carries this upcoming week against Green Bay, I mean, this is an easy smash, 59.5 yards. This is my favorite prop of the week, frankly. I think this is an insultingly low line. And it was available at 57.5 yards earlier. We posted picks last night on the Discord. So if you follow the Discord, you would have gotten this at a better line before it got bumped. It still can be taken at 59.5. I feel very good about that. That is an absolute smash prop. Back to the first game we discussed, third prop of the evening. Tyler Algier under 48.5 rushing yards. This is available on Sleeper. He's only hit this line once all season, and I know Cordero Patterson has been in there up until last week. Got injured the week before, but even still, he has not hit that. San Francisco does boast the best rushing defense in the league, even if we will be absent Kinlaw, Armstead, and potentially Bosa, probably Bosa. Only Javonte Williams and Christian McCaffrey have cracked this line versus San Francisco, and just barely both in the mid-50s. And as much as I actually like Tyler because I am a BYU fan, I feel compelled to mention Tyler Algier is not Christian McCaffrey or Javonte Williams. It's just we haven't had Armstead and Kinlaw the last couple of weeks as it is. Our defense is still the best rush defense in the league. We're only allowing 3 yards a carry. And with us only allowing 3 yards a carry, and with San Francisco very likely to control this game, it's really hard to imagine Algier getting enough volume at that rate to be able to have to hit 17 carries. I certainly can't see Algier getting 17 carries this upcoming week. And I just simply believe San Francisco's defense will remain up to the task. If there's one thing that's been a constant this year, despite much other nonsense floating around the team, it is that the defense is tremendous. Fourth pick, a regular to our list, and has been very good to us so far this year. That is Stephon Diggs. Yes, yes, yes. We love Stephon Diggs. We wanted a piece of that damn Kansas City Bills game too. And we got it with Stephon Diggs, over 85.5 receiving yards available on Prize Picks. There's really not a lot to explain here as Diggs makes yet another appearance here in the boardroom. But Casey's had a wide receiver break 100 yards against them in 3 of 5 weeks so far. This game will be a massive shootout, just like it was last year, but Casey is now down its best cornerback from last season, Mooney Ward, now a San Francisco 49er, who was able to help contain Diggs, and that allowed Gabriel Davis to just eat at least last time they met. Diggs has been tremendous all season himself. I mean, the connection between him and Allen has never looked better. And I don't see that slowing down in this, shootout of a matchup. No better word. It's going to be a gargantuan scoring performance from these teams. And simply, I do not doubt Stephon in 2022 ever at all. No. So, love Stephon. Go fire him up. I think he's all the way up to like 89.5 on Underdog. And frankly, I'd probably take him there too. But always look for the best line. And the best line on Diggs right now is Prize Picks at 85.5 receiving yards. And lastly, we have Miles Sanders. And I never do this prop ever. Under 12.55 fantasy points. And this can be found on Underdog. Dallas is middle of the pack in raw rush defense stats, but they've only allowed 1 touchdown to running backs all season, receiving or in the air. Rushing or through the air. So they've really been able to limit scoring, even though the yards per carry and overall yards have been, again, middle of the pack, league average stuff. Underdog utilizes half PPR scoring. So it's going to be very difficult for Sanders, I think, to crack this number without scoring a touchdown. I mean, there'll be quite a bit of yardage. You even mix in 5 receptions and then 100 total yards still wouldn't get there without a touchdown. So that's a high mark, considering Dallas doesn't allow running backs to score. And the pace of play in this, we already kind of touched on. Expect this to be a little bit of a slower game. Because of that, I think he might have a certain amount of volume, which is why we chose not to go under on the yardage, but rather the fantasy score. And the quality of both defenses, while it might be a little run heavier script, the pace of the game might keep his volume still somewhat down. It's really hard to picture him just getting that done without a huge play. And I don't see that huge play happening against Dallas, at least not for him. And honestly, with the way the yardage total could also be kept down, there's a chance he could score the touchdown, but still not reach the requisite yardage to go over on fantasy. So there's a lot of factors working in favor of this one. It's not a lock because, locks don't exist. Anybody that tells you lock is full of shit, don't ever trust that person. There are no locks. But this is a good one. Again, a lot would have to go right for Sanders to break this number, particularly scoring a touchdown. So, largely considering I don't think he's going to score a touchdown, we're going to go this way, under on fantasy points. And even if he does, there's still a chance he stays under. Yeah, it's one that's easy to work into the mix. And there are more available on the Discord, so make sure, again, that you are there. We've got additional picks that I do not have breakdowns for you, but mentioned we think this is going to be a Jimmy game, so look for his over on passing yards. Amari Cooper as well, George Kittle as well, Will Dissly as well. Those are the other overs we like. Just go get in the Discord. So those are the 5 picks for this week. Again, we will quickly recap. We have Christian McCaffrey over 38.5 receiving yards found on Prize Picks. We have Breece Hall over 59.5 rushing yards found on Prize Picks. We have Tyler Algier under 48.5 rushing yards on Sleeper. We have Stephon Diggs over 85.5 receiving yards on Prize Picks. And we have Miles Sanders under 12.55 fantasy points on Underdog. Please make sure that you are checking us out. God, been a long week. I apologize, everybody. Shoot. Please make sure not only are you checking us out on Discord, but make sure that you're signing up and playing with us here on our partners' apps. Prize Picks, and sign up using code ROGUE. Sleeper, sign up using code refer-ff_Tycoon. And on Underdog, sign up using code ROGUE. Prize Picks and Underdog will both match your deposit up to $100 if you use the code ROGUE. And Sleeper will match you up to $20 if you use the code refer-ff_Tycoon. All of those links to join all of these fun blast of sites are available on our Discord. And Sleeper, actually, there's a secondary code you can use after you use the refer-ff_Tycoon code that will then also allow you to get another 100. They're only running this for another couple of weeks, so do it quickly. We can get that code to you as well. It sometimes pops up in the app, sometimes doesn't. So if it doesn't show up automatically, we can help you out. Top Prop has not been paying off. These primetime games are kicking my ass, especially Thursday night. I'm livid about last night's picks, but what are you going to do? Just try to move on to Sunday. And Taco Tuesday picks, the Tacos are still focused on other sports right now. MLB playoffs going on. NHL, which will be into NHL again soon. For those in the Discord, not this show, this will just remain NFL. That's what we're here for. But hockey picks will come back in the Discord once a few weeks have played out. There's a lot of turnover in the NHL this year, so we're just not going to be jumping into that too quick. See how this stuff plays out. But with that said, that wraps us up. We look forward to a tremendous week 6 of football. We are going to win these bets. We are going to win our matchups. We're going to have a damn good time. And with that, this meeting of the Fantasy Boardroom is adjourned.